Hello and welcome back, everybody. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and for whatever reason I decided today, or rather tonight, that I wanted to do a crashing meteor build. Why? Don't ask me. Just for whatever reason, that's what sounded good today. Is go with the Spark Array crashing meteor build. Spark Array in order to keep enemies off my back, while I drop a giant fuck-off meteor on their heads. And of course, because the focus is on crashing meteor, I decided that Spark Array should be my signature because, yeah, there was another spot for it. Then Air Spinner for 360 degree coverage, Wavefront because I love a good shield, and because we want more power, I went Captain's Ring and Rule. I know, not the most creative of builds, but at the same time, how often do you see a good crashing meteor build? Now, I should have gone to Malind and set Zeal to be the first opponent instead of just going. But for some reason, I'm feeling a little impatient. I don't have a good reason for feeling impatient. I just am. I hope that doesn't continue through the rest of the run. But I do like the idea of dropping meteors on people and just turning them into two-dimensional representations of themselves. You mean the two-dimensional representations of characters that are already two-dimensional, Dark Sage? You know what? Shut up. There we go. So, Chaos Scanner is probably about the most useful thing there, aside from the piggy bank. I could also bank getting some free items on the raffle ticket, but before I do anything, I want to see what Iris is selling. Because right now, the things that are going to make the biggest difference are going to be the upgrades to Air Spinner and Crashing Meteor. There we go. So one thing I do have to say about Spark Array is that even though it's not really intended to do a ton of damage, it gets the job done just because it shocks the enemy for so long. So actually I should probably be okay with the way that... the boss order went. Whoops. Why did I think that was a smart idea? Because we don't have the electric enemies, and without the electric enemies, that means that there is nothing that is completely invulnerable to shock, which gives us many more chances to do, well, to miss, yes, to miss with crashing meteor. We have a lot of opportunities for that to happen. One of the things I really like about Crashing Meteor is that sound effect it makes. And that's one of the things that is really hard to describe, is like how good sound design really can affect a game. Because I screwed myself over on that one. Because there's nothing in like a design course or anything that says, hey, use the proper sound effects so this sounds nice and powerful. There's nothing that says that. That's one of those things you just kind of have to learn, is like, okay, am I using the right sound effect here? Does it sound impactful? Does it sound powerful? And that loud, just BAM sound, I love it. I love it so much. Splat. got all of them. And good. Okay, we have plenty of money. Where the hell is Iris? And on the point of crashing meteor, this is one of those arcana that I really hope gets the signature spell treatment in the next update. Hey, look at that! Exactly what I wanted. That's perfection. Alright, we're looking good now. So now let's come back here, have another look. Let's bank it on the raffle ticket and see what happens. I don't take it very often, so hey, maybe this time will be the time that convinces me that it's worth taking every time. There we go. Looking good. So, now that I have everyone's attention, I would like to go on a little bit of a story time, which is why this is actually why I chose a kind of easier run to navigate. Because just recently, a new patch and DLC just went live for Streets of Rage 4, so, you know, thank you, Lizard Cube, for actually continuing to work on the game. That's definitely a blessing in and of itself. And what it introduced was, first of all, a little bit of balancing, which, you know, not a big deal, whatever. Ooh, yeah! What do we have over here? Nothing I really want. Unless I happen to find the other... Well, honestly, though, when I'm using this particular signature, I'm not doing it because it's because it's super damaging. I'm doing it because it's effective. It's effective at keeping enemies at bay. It's not a huge damage bonus because it's still bugged, but oh hey, I got it for free! Holy shit! It actually worked! I'm surprised. And now I'm lost again. But back to Streets of Rage. So Streets of Rage 4 came out last year. I think I said that with a lot of slurring. I apologize. And it was one hell of a revival of the old Sega Classic, which of course had three parts and then disappeared for like 20 plus years. Like, sometimes the decisions that Sega makes make no sense. Like, but boss, people are still clamoring for a sequel to this game. We should probably... Nah, fuck it. People said they were done after Streets of Rage 3. And it's like, not really. It's just that Streets of Rage 3, I don't know, it made some good changes and some bad changes. The ability for every character to run, good change. The strange difficulty spikes and the majority of the music no longer being composed by Yuzo Koshiro, bad idea. But it was still Streets of Rage, and at the time, Streets of Rage was the project that it was because they were essentially looking for a little slice of the beat-em-up pie that Nintendo was getting with Final Fight. Or more so Capcom, but let's be fair, it was something that was released on Super Nintendo at the time. So it was like, it was once again a little bit more fuel to the fire of, you know, Genesis does what Nintendo don't. That's an advertising campaign I never thought I'd call back to on this series. Nice, looking solid. So, Streets of Rage was an answer to Final Fight. How well did it answer? Well, one of those series is still going on, the other one isn't, so that should probably be enough to tell you. Though, to be fair, I think part of that was also that there was never a 3D adaptation of Streets of Rage. Because, let me tell you, what Final Fight Streetwise did something that Streets of Rage 3 never did. Killed the franchise. What are you, Idealist Mirror? Cool, what does that do? Awesome, that's something I can sell. Alright. So if I get myself an Earth Arcana, oof, pardon me, that will power up Captain's Ring a little bit more. And you know, I'm all down for that, especially since that particular Earth Arcana will essentially act as a nice evasion. And I am all down for that. By the way, if any of you have played Final Fight Streetwise, let me know just how awful it is in the comments below or on my Discord. But I'm getting the feeling that for a lot of us, it's just a relic of the past that no one really knows about. And you know, considering what I've heard about the game, it's probably best left that way. There we go. And that's Volt Pinball. I mean, I might as well. It's not hurting anything. And actually, it'll be nice and effective against these enemies. But why am I spending so much time talking about Streets of Rage when, you know, all it is like, okay, Streets of Rage 4 got an update. Well, for one, I really like that update. Like, to me, it's a good update. I like it. Also, I'm very heavily considering Cascading Blitz because that will be effective against Zeal. Beautifully done. I love it. But more so than just I like the new update for Streets of Rage 4, which I mean, if you ask me, that's enough reason to want to talk about something anyway. But also, I have quite the history of Streets of Rage. See, as a kid, even now, I had quite the affinity for beat-em-up games. Like, I don't know why, but the TMNT arcade game, especially Turtles in Time, Final Fight, I was a series called Ninja Warriors that I was a big fan of, which has a modern remake that I really want to play. I don't know why I haven't purchased it. But I love beat-em-up games. It's probably that part of that was okay, sir. Well, now it's time for you to suffer eternally. And I think part of that might have been spurred on by just the quality of some of those games. Not all of them, of course. Not every beat 'em up that came out was good. Case in point, Batman Forever. Are you talking about the movie or the game? Pick one. But I think the real reason why I really love beat-em-ups, I think I might be able to attribute to one of my first action RPGs, which actually was Secret of Mana. And I've talked about that a little bit before. But it's just the idea of the fighting in real time, and of course there was Street Fighter to attribute that with as well. I mean, not just Street Fighter, but Mortal Kombat. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I really love the beat-em-up genre. Not only was it like a roaming, adventuring version of a fighting game, but they were games that were easy to pick up, difficult to master. And that is something I'm glad is still true of modern beat-em-ups, is a lot of people will look at a beat-em-up game and go, oh, what's the difficulty? You walk right, you beat people up. It's a button masher. What the hell's wrong with you? Not really. Especially not anymore. Now, for the first Streets of Rage, I could see that being an argument. But nowadays, now the characters have combos and they all play differently, and yeah, no, nowadays, just saying it's a button masher, definitely not true. Like, nowadays, a good beat-em-up game is actually kind of complicated. Like, characters actually have combo lists, and really good characters from beat-em-ups tend to appear in fighting games. Case in point, Mike Hagar has made his way into the Capcom Versus series, and I'm all down for that. Okay, so if I want, I could gamble on Seismic Entry, and yes, I am going to buy this. But if I do, there's no guarantee I'm getting an Earth Arcana back, so the question becomes, is it worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Unfortunately, I just don't know. I am going to pick that up. And the reason for picking up the watercolor palette is honestly quite simple. Oh, hello. Okay, so here's what I can get rid of. I can get rid of these two for sure. I think I'll keep everything else. Beautiful. But the reason why I want to why I want to try to get better cooldowns is because with Crashing Meteor, that's where a chunk of your, like a big chunk of your damage is coming from. So it would almost be best to find a way to chain cast that. And I can think of one way, but Alright, so I think, even if for no other reason than for fun, let's go ahead and gamble Seismic Entry and see if we get another good Earth Arcana that we can take. Well, that was stupid. Alright, so now we need to be on the lookout for another Earth Arcana to repower up the Captain's Ring. I knew there was a potential that could go poorly, so... I blame myself. But there's no one else to blame. Yes, I can blame the military-industrial complex. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. Alright, so back to Streets of Rage story time. So, obviously, I'm a 90s kid, I've already said this before, which it means in internet years that I'm like a million years old. And I was very much invested in Streets of Rage. I rented it from Blockbuster Video, again showing my age, I apologize, I know I'm way too old to be on the internet, I should just go kill myself, huh? But, that was a joke, don't take that too seriously. Top. Oh, that was a little late, but alright. So, yeah, that was my first exposure to it, was just I rented the game to see if I liked it, because I was looking for something new, and it reminded me of Double Dragon, which I guess I could actually attribute being a fan of beat-em-ups to Double Dragon, but who's got time for rational thoughts? So I said to myself, you know, Self, we have been looking for a new gaming experience, why don't we give this Streets of Rage thing a try? And it might not have been the most complex thing in the world, but again, in comparison to Double Dragon, this was crazy. Like, the enemies had patterns that I had to learn how to deal with. It wasn't just walk up to them and mash attacks. I should also point out that even though I didn't like Double Dragon, I was not the hugest fan of this. Not until Super Double Dragon 4 anyway, but that's another story. So I thought to myself, alright, this is actually a lot of fun. There's a wide variety to what I can do, and all the characters are just different enough from each other that there's a reason to choose one over the other. I'm having fun. Increases duration of my shock status effect, well, why didn't you say so from the beginning? Also, this ticket isn't doing anything anymore. 1 in 4 chance, yes, but you all know my luck. Stop. Just stop. Alright, I might have screwed over my captain's ring, but... But you know, that freebie does give me an opportunity. Alright, well, Catalytic Tonic isn't great, but, you know, I'm not gonna turn it down either. Thanks, Doctor. But I think for me and for a lot of other people who remember really loving Streets of Rage, it was actually Streets of Rage 2 that caused us to fall in love. Because that game was, like, it was a for sure evolution on what made Streets of Rage so great. Because now it wasn't. Okay, so the characters in Streets of Rage 1 actually had very simplistic combos, and a lot of people would say, "This is lame. Why do you like this so much?" It's like, I get it, but I still love it. Beautiful. Well, we're definitely taking that over Volt Pinball. And we will definitely use it over Gust Ball. So Streets of Rage 2 took the very basic formula that was going on in the first game, and like it took it and it upped the ante by like 1,000,000 times. Like it was such a huge evolution onto what Streets of Rage was, and it was just so good. Like there were it went now instead of it just being like each character has one combo string, a few grab attacks, and you can, conjure your police car buddy. Which, that's the guy driving the police car, not the car itself, don't get it wrong. There we go. Okay, nothing here is really standing out. Like Dark Katana, but really only for one Arcana. But I mean, it's better than everything there having no decent effect. But now in Streets of Rage 2, characters had like special blitz attacks that you could get by double tapping forward and hitting X. Well, X is what it is nowadays. Back then, it was B. Beautiful. Like, it just did so much for the game. Like, the characters were marginally different before, now they were extremely different. Oh yeah, I thought you could break my shield, huh? Silly little bitch. I mean, it's an Earth Arcana. It's garbage, but it's there. Yeah, why would I use that over Twin Turbines? For the bonus to Captain's Ring, why else? But if Iris has something better, and to be fair, most anti-Earth Arcana would be better, then we definitely roll with that. Alright. Actually, I'm kind of digging how that's working. Maybe this isn't as bad as I thought. And ironically, she does have another Earth Arcana, but Dragon Dive is actually going to send enemies away from me, and it's one of those moves that's better against moves because of how it does knockback, so yeah, no. I'm gonna stick with what I have. I probably should have taken Bewitching Glue because I actually don't want my enemies to be hindered, to be sundered with too much knockback. And that'll work with the bubble slaps. Oh hey! The thing went off again. Raffle ticket actually worked for once. Nice. So if you ask any Streets of Rage fan which game was it that really cemented this game in your mind, it was definitely Streets of Rage 2. And it wasn't just for the gameplay, which admittedly for the time, and hey, even now, is still really good. I think what a lot of us really, I think another part of it which really cemented it was the soundtrack. Like, I don't know how Yuzo Koshiro managed to do the music he did on the Genesis sound set, which, for the most part, was generally considered to be inferior to the Super Nintendo sound chips. But somehow he managed to make music on the Genesis sound chips so good that it was actually played in Japanese nightclubs. That is not a joke. You can both look that up. That actually happened. Which, by the way, if I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry. I heard that story and it sounded believable to me. Sucker. God, I love that spell. You know, except when I miss, and even when I miss, it still looks cool. Oh, hi, I had something to sell you earlier, but now I have a mimic. Sorry. But for as good as the music is in Streets of Rage 2, and don't get me wrong, it is a goddamn masterpiece. Like, Yuzo Koshiro just, like, composed a sure enough classic when he did that. But I don't want it to get twisted, but Streets of Rage 1 set that standard ahead of time. Like, the soundtrack to Streets of Rage 1 was also absolutely amazing. And again, we're talking about the same chipset, the same sound chips that were used for both games, obviously, since they're both Sega Genesis games, or Mega Drive for my potential European watchers. It's not great, but it's something. I don't have any jump arcana anymore. I will take that just in case it becomes useful. Language is not my strong suit after an 8-hour day. Shut up. No, that's right. You don't have anything I want. That could have gone better, but simultaneously not terrible either. That was a complete miss. And then I threw the meteor behind me like a complete genius. There you go. Take that. Then, to explain what happened with Streets of Rage 3 is difficult. But I think because they had advanced the gameplay again, and the gameplay was still fantastic. I don't say the gameplay itself is better than fantastic, but there was something about the presentation that was off. Yuzo Koshiro was now one of the composers, and anything that he composed is still fucking magical. But the other compositions, like I said, Yuzo made the Genesis sound chip sound like it was capable of making music. The other composers on the soundtrack for Streets of Rage 3, it sounded like what we're used to from the Genesis, just twangy farts. Which, don't get me wrong, there's a part of that. There's a part of that will just live on forever. We're used to the old twangy fart sound of the Genesis at this point. Which, again, I stress, it's the Genesis to me, but I'm aware that it's the Mega Drive to those of you who are in Europe. Okay, that was not a good fight. There we go. And yes, that does mean Dark Katana is now basically worthless. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Owie! No, you aren't allowed to do that. Ow. And of course there's a train passing by. I'm guessing you guys can hear that. I have the window open because the weather is actually kind of nice where I'm at right now. But of course, there has to be a goddamn train. God damn, I suck. Come on. Ah. Alright, so actually, in the end, that run wasn't as strong as I thought it would be. Huh. Well, anyway, thank you guys very much for watching and listening to me talk about Streets of Rage for a while. It is a series that I absolutely love, and admittedly, this episode was, I mean, it was Wizard of Legend, yes, and I love Wizard of Legend, but it was kind of an excuse just to gush about Streets of Rage, especially with the new update that's out for the game. The DLC is cheap, and what it adds, I think, is a lot of fun. Though I do stress that it's one of those things that isn't necessarily going to draw you in if you aren't already big into Streets of Rage. For those of us that like it, it's just more of what we love, and I plan on sinking my teeth into quite a bit more of it. Oh, 38.55. I guess it wasn't a horrible run, just not as strong as I would like. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I do really appreciate it. If you could, drop me a like, leave me a comment. Hey, subscribe to my channel. I do stuff like this pretty regularly where I play one game and then talk about another entirely. So, there you go. There's fun for you. There's good times. That's what you paid for, right? Psych, you didn't pay for shit. I apologize. I'm coming off as a dick, and I'm not trying to do that. But I'm rambling at this point. Thank you for spending some of your free time with me, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Dark Sage Walker, and I will be seeing you.